Hey guys, welcome back to Behind the Grape. I hope everyone had a really great Christmas and are gearing up for a different New Year's, but hopefully you're socially distanced, but maybe on a Zoom call with friends, or there's a great deal of activity online for New Year's Eve. So hopefully whatever you do it safe, and we make our way through the winter and into vaccination for the spring. Tonight, I'm going to talk a little bit about wine, but food and wine in general, and it's geared along the theme of buy local or buy local. And I've been giving this some thought, and where it stems from is since the start of the pandemic. I wouldn't say the start, but maybe the middle of it. We really started to see a big push on people really wanting to support local shops, which I think is a great thing. Because many of you who know me know that I do try to support local as much as I can, both professionally and personally. In fact, I can say I've never once set foot in a Costco, and I'm a-okay with that, among other big box stores. But it got me thinking. We put a push on, to support our local restaurants through takeouts, and the local restaurants as well were really pushing us to support them, and we should have, and we do. Those who can do. I know I've got 2 nights a week that I dedicate to takeout. In fact, this year's Christmas I did from Lake Inez down on Gerard Street East. First time in 20 something years that I did not cook a turkey. I missed it, but I supported local. But what it got me thinking of is we've had this shift because of the pandemic. And what I really hope doesn't happen is that we don't revert back from a culinary and food and beverage hospitality point of view. And what I mean by that is, and again, this is my opinion, is that we don't go back to looking for the Costco deals on our food and beverage offerings that we're providing to our guests. As I've written about and talked about, I do truly believe that our guest expectations, regardless of the spectrum or level of restaurant that you're in, people's expectations are going to be heightened because we've been off so long to give where we should have been giving some thought to what we're going to be offering in our new environment. And I think that goes for restaurants, hotels, even stores. They're going to want to see that. And so what I mean is that, if you were a restaurant that had, let's say you were a pub and you were doing chicken fingers, I really hope the days of the big truck pulling up and dumping off the frozen chicken fingers are behind us, and that we're supporting our local farmers and we're doing those things in house. We're breading them ourselves. We're butchering them ourselves. From a beef point of view, there's some great beef in this country from Alberta, from Guelph. There's some great Hereford cattle in Guelph, some grass-fed beef in Prince Edward Island. Versus again getting in the cryovac frozen steaks that then we thaw and we put onto the grill and we try to pass that off as you know great cuisine, because it's not. It's an end to the means, but it's not anything exciting that like it should be. And there's ways to make it. Obviously, when you do some of these things, there's a cost associated with it, but maybe there's ways that we can tap into that to make it fun for our guests. And what I was thinking about the last couple of days is, what if instead of buying individual tenderloins or individual steaks, you bought a side of beef and you presented it as a farmer's dinner, and it's a 2-day event, and you have guests come into your kitchen and they learn how to actually butcher that side down, and you make all the accompaniments that's going to go with it, and leave it off to the side. So you've butchered down the animal, you've done your jus, you've picked your salads. The guests are in there with you, seeing how it's done. Maybe even they take part. Maybe not so much with the knives for the liabilities, but just things I'm thinking of. And then on the second night, chef and team, they prepare all those ingredients for the guests that are out there to enjoy them, that took part in it, and you have whoever that farmer that you worked with come in, and they do a whole talk on how the animal was cared for, how it was raised. Was it raised organically, sustainable farming? Just a different take on the old winemaker Scotch dinner, but do it around food and farmers. I think there's something there that people would be very interested in, and it's just a way to, again, to support local farmers. I was thinking about scallops the other day. You know, are we going to be buying frozen scallops to try to pass that off in our ceviche? Or are we going to get fresh Digby scallops and we're going to do a proper ceviche with proper fresh ingredients? Because I don't know if you know this, if you take a frozen scallop and then thaw it and try to do a ceviche, there's going to be a whole heck of a lot more water in there just from the fact that it was frozen. And when you freeze things, they tend to lose flavor or sinew. So I really hope that the restaurants that were saying, please help us support local, they in turn turn around and say support local, and not having the big box trucks dropping off all the wares. And I'm not saying that there isn't a place for them, because there is, when it comes to accompaniments and paper goods and things of that nature, and maybe even some smaller things as well. But I'd love to see a bigger push on that local, and supporting our local farmers and putting their names on menus. I know Allen's on the Danforth for years has had their Butchers of Distinction strip loin on the menu, and it states it's from Butchers of Distinction, which is a local butcher shop down in Leslieville. And years back, Chef Robert Clark in Vancouver started off with Ocean Wise, and then everyone was looking to get the Ocean Wise logo on their menus, identifying that they're using sustainably caught seafood products. So in that same kind of vein, doing it, supporting our local Canadian or even local regional farmers. And that holds true even to the beverage side of the world. I mean, there are some fantastic breweries around, right? Black Lab in Leslieville, you got Blood Brothers on the West End, you've got Shillow Beer up in Ottawa, Flying Monkey, Ace Hill, great people to support. Eastbound Brewery down on Queen Street East with Dave Watson, great person to be supporting with his beers. We've got fantastic wineries, both Ontario, Nova Scotia, British Columbia, Tawes, Henry of Pelham, Stratus, Southbrook, Nicholas Pierce, Clausen Chase. You've got Tidal Bay in Nova Scotia doing some great sparkling. You've got Mission Hill, Quails Gate, Road 13, all out west. Support those guys. And again, depending on what your program is going to be, you can't all be local, and I fully get that. And as a sommelier, I'd want to have other regions represented as well. And especially if you're going to be a deep program, you've got to get some of your big hitters out of Spain and the Northern Rhone and out of South Australia. I get that. But maybe try to throw a bone to our local wineries that have really suffered as well. And same thing with our cideries, Quebec, right next door, and Ontario. So I guess the juxtaposition I have is I'm all for buy local, I'm all for support local, but I hope as we come out of this pandemic, we don't look back on it and say, remember when we said support local because we were so up in arms that everyone could go into a big box store and the mom and pops were hurting? I hope we remember that as we come out of this and we think, you know what, do we need the big box food suppliers supplying all of our restaurants, or can we do something more local? And then it's up to you to negotiate how you want to be compensated in the fact that, obviously some of the bigger ones, you can get some buying power. But having done it with some local suppliers in my past, you can get the same kind of buying power. It's just how you go about it. And you can still make your same margins and offer your guests just a better quality product. And I can guarantee you if it says, a hand chopped burger, like they have at Queen and Beaver, I'm going to have that 9 times out of 10 than going into a place where I see that it's coming frozen from a box. And again, we all have bosses that we have to adhere to, but I would say that, do your research and make the case of why supporting local and why maybe paying a little bit extra can pay off the dividends long term versus a short term scenario. We'll all be better off for it, and then that person, I don't think we're going to look as hypocritical looking back going, well, we said buy local, but now that we're vaccinated, let's go back to buy frozen. Let's not have anyone cook anything. We'll just throw it on a grill and off we go. And that's with no disrespect, because I know there's a lot of restaurants that I respect that do that already. I'm talking bigger picture, obviously, for those of us who can do it. So that's just my 2 cents on it. Sorry if I rambled a little bit. Just something that I'm very passionate about, especially as I see a light at the end of the tunnel. Just want to keep that fresh in everyone's mind. Thanks, guys, and I'll be back this week with some more wine talk and wine reviews. Thanks, and have a great night.